Hi guys, welcome back to the Manuela Method. I am, yes, you guessed it, Manuela. And today I actually want to go back over the tarot card reading that Candace did because Anna and I just finished listening to the last episode. And let me tell you, it has not even been 1 month. Like, we're not even through the month yet. And I already feel like the tarot card reading has been so true and like has brought so much attention or has made me so much more attentive to certain aspects of my life that I probably would have just overlooked. So on that note, I wanted to, okay, how crazy is this? Whenever I had the tarot card reading, a few days later, I was thinking to myself, I know I have a tarot card book that actually my ex gave to me randomly. He was in New Orleans and he like randomly got me this book, which is interesting because it's a guide to tarot card, like to tarot cards. And I had not been into tarot cards. I had not done any tarot cards. He just knew I was like kind of like into that kind of thing. But I think it's super interesting once I realized that he had given me this book and I went looking for it. I found it and I realized that the magician is on the cover, which you have already watched last episode and know that I had the magician card pulled. Like Candace pulled the magician card. And when I got that card, I felt like it resonated with me. Because in my head, I'm like, I kind of am the magician, you know, like I am the one who is magic. I'm the one who gets to create and manipulate my reality to be what I want. So I found it really interesting that he had already given me this. It's almost like, I feel that this year, my life is almost me catching up with my timeline. I almost feel like there was a lot set in motion a few years back that I didn't give myself the opportunity to fully pursue because I became enveloped in a relationship and started living for other people. And this year, probably from November till January, I gave myself freedom to do and be whoever I was gonna do and be. Let's be honest. Because I had spent so much of my life, I realized so much of my life was me thinking about how I could be what other people needed, what I could be for my parents, what I could be for my brothers, what I could be for my ex. And I just filled my life purpose with becoming that. I tried to be perfect in every aspect so that nobody would leave me, right? Because if I can anticipate what everybody needs from me, and I can become that, then nobody would ever leave me. Nobody would ever abandon me. So going out of that relationship and really having my foundation just completely swiped from underneath me, I gave myself the freedom to just be free from any judgments, any I don't know, like my own judgments really. Like I stopped. Okay, let's be honest. Before we even continue, I don't ever give you the impression that I'm perfect or that I'm done learning or that none of this applies to me or that I'm teaching you from a place of mastery, because I truly don't even believe that masters exist. I think that I always make the joke that I'm the master of none, which I think that's a show, but I love that phrase, master of none, because the meaning of life is in the journey, right? So I never really think that mastering something is even something I want to do. I never want to get to the end of the road with anything I do. I think that there's always room to expand, always room to grow. And this podcast is an avenue for me to explore that with you, not for me to teach at you. So I never want you to think that I'm coming at you from a place of, you have to pick this up because I already know it and blah, blah, blah. It's me in my real life, in real time, learning lessons and sharing that with you so that we can learn it together. Because if I can learn something or you can learn something and you can share it with me and I can share it with you, then we just grow so much faster. And I always go back to the saying, when you better yourself, you better everything around you, right? Which always comes back to I. It always just comes back to I and giving to yourself and really pouring into your own cup. So I want to say that first. But I don't feel, I'm sorry, not I don't feel. Going back to the tarot cards. Now that I have used tarot for the first time as a guide, I realized that there's so much opportunity for us to really gain from so many different avenues to really guide us. And one of the things I found fascinating was that these tarot cards over the last month have given me so much insight and given me perspective and almost given me a different window to look at my life through, like through these cards. Even listening back to the footage from Candace's episode, I was blown away at how much has happened in just 1 month that truly aligns with that. So first of all, I wanted to go to the Devil card because that was the first card I received. And it was very like, in the moment, felt controversial because I'm like, wait, what does this all mean? But Candace did say that it was not technically a bad thing. So we have the Devil. As soon as this card appears, it is clear that the threshold of the taboo has been crossed. What has hitherto? Is that a word? Hitherto? What has hitherto surging under the surface is now visible. And that is the adventure. Oh, wow. Can she read? She can talk, but can she read? And that is the advantage and the challenge and that is the challenge at once. So that was very interesting to me because I feel that a huge aspect of this podcast is me bringing aspects of self-awareness and personal development to the surface that could be pretty taboo for people, right? Like intertwining spirituality and science, I think can make it seem pretty taboo, and not many people are really ready to face the reality of certain aspects of spirituality being fact and already being researched and articles coming out about manifestation and astral projection, like those things are studied, and that's pretty insane. So I think that's pretty interesting. But the basic meaning, on one hand, the Devil represents a kind of vampire, that a truly burdensome torment of which we have good reason to be afraid. We can get rid of this aspect of darkness when we finally come to recognize him. In a quite different sense, the Devil personifies a deprived child. That is a part of us which we have so far treated with neglect, even though we secretly and justifiably have a certain longing for it. Now is the time to readdress this. Spiritual experience, bringing light into darkness, and you will find a lot of old junk and new treasures. This card pretty much states, so this card for me is the ending of old cycles and the bringing up of the uncomfortable, and kind of realizing that life is never going to be perfect and it's never going to be pretty, but it's always going to be what I need. And I think that that was a big slap in the face when I got that card. But hold on, I want to see what the other card that I was going to pull up was. Honestly, I was just so mind blown by every single thing that Candace said. Oh, I know which one it is. Hold on. It was crazy. It's just so crazy. Well, let me tell you about the Magician, because the Magician was important. But okay, before I even get into the Magician, so she said to me that I was going to be faced with something like a temptation going into 2023, something that was going to essentially tempt me on my path, but that I am on my path. I'm set to my destination, and I know my purpose, but I'm definitely going to be tested in aspects of maturity and grounding, right? Well, I found it really interesting because at the beginning of 2023, I met someone. That sounded so dramatic. No, but I did. I met somebody that made me realize that they were like the universe. I almost feel like the universe presented them to me, and they were literally everything I had ever wanted from my ex and my past relationship. Who I was, wanted every aspect of what this person had to offer to the biggest degree. Like, this person felt like me in another body, and it really challenged me to see myself and pushed me to really learn about myself. And I really value this person. But it was a really eye-opening experience, because now I'm realizing that that was a temptation. It was a temptation set for me to realize that what I've always wanted is attainable and I deserve. But if that's not exactly what I have determined that is my goal, that is currently what I want, then I need to continue on my path. And I made my decision to really continue on the path that I'm going, because I know that I don't want to say I'm not ready to settle down, but I still feel like emotionally speaking, I still have a lot to work through. I don't feel emotionally available enough, especially with the current state of my career and like working more for YouTube and doing all that. I just don't have the time to invest into becoming more emotionally available and then investing into somebody else right now. But I really think that was one of those moments where I was tempted. I was tempted to not necessarily go off of my path, because I don't think that the universe is trying to sabotage me by giving me something that I deserve. But I think that it was the universe saying that everything that you have wanted is yours. And you did want this at some point, and now you're ready for this. And if this is what you want now, you can have it. You're allowed to. But we're just going to continue heading in the direction that you want to go and continue to give you the things you want to receive if you don't want this right now. And staying true to myself, which was a whole other part of the reading with Candace, the whole part about me trusting myself, trusting my emotion. That was crazy to me because I completely forgot. I mean, I didn't forget the tarot card reading, but you kind of don't remember it to a T. Like, I don't think about it on the daily. But then when I reflect back on it, it is really wild how many aspects of that are now reflected in my life. And it's been a month. It's literally been a month. But one of the things that she said was that I have to be able to trust in my emotion, which is advice that I would give to anyone. But it is also one of the hardest things that I think I've ever done, because I feel that we are, especially here in America, like in the United States, we will almost always bulldoze our emotions and ignore our emotions in order to be more productive, in order to achieve, or I just feel like everything is money driven or power driven. So we bulldoze things like emotions and get those out of the way because it facilitates things for us, right? And now I'm realizing that my personal brand and who I am as a person are almost the exact same. They are the same. And that's becoming very apparent to me, which means that for me to be the best version of myself for you on camera, I just have to be the best version of myself, right? Like my job is to work on myself so that we can experience life together and then we can learn from each other. And a huge aspect of this reading, now reflecting on it, has been me coming to terms with what my life looks like, not compared to anybody else, not compared to what I thought, not compared to what my parents thought, no one. And I think to stay true to you and stay true to myself in creating my own reality and creating your own reality, we have to completely let go of the prejudices that we hold against ourselves when it comes to what our life looks like. You know, I think that we have such stigmas when it comes to what productivity looks like, what a CEO looks like, and so much of it is like hustle culture. And so much of it is you wake up at 5, you go to sleep at midnight, and you work all day, and then you get a paycheck, but then you work the next day. It's like, what is that? Because for me, at first, when I was thinking about my goals, they were job related, they were work related, right? And I was very unhappy. And I kept going through these cycles of kind of burning out because, like I said, my personal brand and who I am are very much intertwined. I mean, it is me. Like, you just get me. So how do you make being yourself a 40-hour work week? You can't. So I've had to really come to terms with my life looks different day to day. My life looks different from other people's, and that's okay. And then more importantly, I realized that as somebody who has been trying to free themselves from all these judgments, I still had judgments. So like I said, when you think that you're done, I don't come at you as I'm not coming at you as a teacher. I'm coming at you as a pupil, right? Like, I'm coming at you as an equal. I'm learning as I go too. And I'm realizing how often we can lie to ourselves and bully ourselves into feeling different emotions that aren't necessary, that we force upon ourselves. But now finally kind of like letting go of that, I think it's crazy how much the reading has already been reflected in my life. When I was going through and looking it up, once I found the book, so a few weeks later, this was like 2 weeks ago maybe. Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. I found the book. I'm flipping through it. There was one, and I can't remember which one it was. Not me literally opening to the Knight of Swords, which is one of my cards. Okay, so I guess we'll read the Knight of Swords because she said read it. You are like the knight. The card emphasizes your sovereignty and also your masculine attributes. You have and are developing a masterful, all-encompassing way of dealing with the aerial forces of life. Your whole determination as a human being with a good deal of curiosity and a sharp intellect is needed. So the basic meaning of this, the master of insight, what's behind it all, what's new, what's happened in the end. As in the case with the court cards, the knight represents the ideal, the perfect mastery over the element in question. In this case, the sword, air, swords, thoughts, opinions, which is so funny because that's literally, again, not just my brand, like who I am and like what I do in every aspect of my content. You are like this knight or are well on your way and or are destined to meet somebody who personifies this knight. Spiritual experience, the radicalness of those who truly love. And then let's see, for love and relationships, for success and happiness. Could your value judgments use a clear out? That's really funny that I was just talking about this and literally it's the first card I flipped to, or the first page I flipped to. Could your value judgments use a clear out? How about letting your thoughts roam outside of the box? Dare to commit yourself more and be more persistent. So do you see how I'm saying like these, when you have a tarot card reading, that does not mean that you are now bound to like a witch somewhere and like your family is cursed forever. I just imagine Holes. Do you ever watch the movie Holes where like the curse, who's the witch? It's like Madam something. Anyway, so I feel like when people think about tarot and spirituality, they're like, Jamie, on it. Anna is on it. But I swear it's like Madam... I was gonna say Tussaud, but I don't know if that's it.
Madame Zeroni.
Madame Zeroni! Okay. I feel like everybody thinks it's Madame Zeroni, right? Like they show up to Madame Zeroni's house, they get a tarot card reading, they leave and they're cursed forever. But in reality, think about this, okay? I really want you to think about this in the like, don't think so hard into it. If you had a tarot card deck that you had yourself, you can do this by yourself. And you should ultimately trust yourself, right? Like the cards themselves have no magic associated. They're just printed in some factory somewhere, put in a box, and then you buy them. There's nothing magical about it. There's literally no spells cast to create it. It didn't come from like a cave somewhere. Like it's just a card. Like you could use a deck of cards and give those cards meaning, technically. That's the same thing. So if you were to do this for yourself, you could pull one card a day and it not necessarily mean that you're a witch, you're doing witchcraft, but it could give you almost like a focal point for the day. It could be as easy as pulling a card that says that today you're going to be breaking taboos and stepping out of your shell. And now you're self-aware to that. You're aware to moments in your life where you have the opportunity to do that throughout the day. And I just don't see how that is ever going to be bad for you. You know? So if you are ever considering tarot, first of all, reach out to Candace because she's like crazy good. But you can also explore this on your own. Sorry about that. Our audio cut out. But that's okay. This is your sign to give yourself some grace today because, like I said, we're all human. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not growing, in my opinion. But going back to the tarot card thing, I just don't want you to ever think that anything... You're just in so much control of everything that you never have to think that something is going to come in and change you and shift you. Like you are the one who has ultimate power over everything. So if you wanted to try tarot and do it yourself or whatever, you can trust yourself to give meaning to everything in your life. And on that note, you know that to me, passion is one of the greatest emotions, feelings to tap into. I think that in itself, that feeling, that passionate feeling, that love in action feeling is a huge force for manifestation. I think that if you're able to feel that and then feel your goals in that light, feel so much passion for what's already yours, then it makes it that much more real. If you can feel how real it is, then your body can't discern the difference, right? Like it can't tell if you're holding, I don't know, if you're holding $1,000 in your hand or if you're not. But if you feel it either way, your body can't tell the difference whether or not it's real or not. So the more you put yourself in those positions to feel as passionately as you can about your life, you have more control over what you create and what you get out of life. I also feel that if you're somebody who's always not feared angel numbers, but kind of like found angel numbers to seem kind of taboo, or I think just the word angel kind of has a misconception to it. But Anna did something the other day, and I wanted to bring it up because I think it is a great idea and something that I have recommended to you guys before, and that's picking an angel number. Let's call it something else. Not angel. Mindfulness number or awareness number. Because think about this. If you have a number like 444, for me, it's 444. 4 is my angel number, which, if you know, my tarot card that I got was grounding 4, which was crazy. And on top of that, actually, going back, do you remember the guy I was telling you about? The guy that, my temptation. The first time we ever hung out, we just met up to hang out, just to chat. We had we realized that in terms of spirituality, we were very, very similar. And that actually was super interesting because it pushed me out of my comfort zone a lot and made me face myself and really think about the growth that I want to see in myself and who I wanted to really be and the things I had to do to become that person. But when we were at dinner, he gave me a book, which, first of all, if you're trying to court a lady, if you're trying to court anybody, listen up, because this man did it right. First of all, we didn't go on a date. We just met up to like hang out as friends. And he bought me a book. He wrote in it. Super nice. He wrote something super nice. He's actually a fan of the podcast. I love it. And at the end of it, he wrote the date and 444. And I was looking at this man like, that same morning, he woke up and he had posted like a screenshot of the time in the morning, and he had woken up early, I guess, and it was like 444. And in my head, I'm like, I'm the main character. So he's obviously doing it because he knows it's my angel number. And then I realized at the end of the conversation, I mentioned it to him, like, I just think it's crazy that you saw my angel number. And he was like, oh, like, that's crazy. What do you mean it's your angel number? I was like, sir, you didn't know it was my angel number? I thought that's literally why you wrote it. So he didn't know it was my angel number, but it's even weirder that my temptation, if that's what he, was, identified or was informed by or was connected to my angel number, which I also associate with like my higher self or like my spirit guide. It just made me feel so much like no matter what comes out of this, I'm supposed to be meeting this person. I'm supposed to be experiencing this. And again, it just made me aware of the moment and made me grateful for everything that's ever happened to me that has led me to this point where I can be sitting here with this crazy coinky dink. We all know that coinky dinks don't happen. So I thought that was super weird. But it's that association, that number, right? Like you picking a number and associating it with something. If you were to, Anna picked the other day a 6. She picked 6 because she liked the message behind the number. And I also told her, and I will tell you, you can pick any number and you can make it mean anything. And if you start to become aware of that number often, then you should be proud of yourself, because the only way that you could be aware of that is if you're present. Because if your mind's in the future, if your mind's in the past, you would not have been able to see that little 444 on the back of that truck, right? That little 1111 on your dashboard. Like you just wouldn't be aware of these things if you were not in the present. And there's always unlimited power in the present. Unlimited power in the present, but only in the present. You have no power in the past. You have no power in the future. You can only lay foundations for power that you will have, but you technically can't draw power and change things before you change in the present. The craziest thing, though, about that 4 grounding card is that the same day that I was looking up, that I found this book, that I was looking up all the meanings behind everything, I realized that same thing, that the most power I will ever have is in the present. If I can accept my emotions, if I can accept who I am in the present, that I will always be guiding myself And I can trust in that. I need to be able to fully trust in that. Whether it works out or it doesn't, whether it's good or bad, it's all happening for me. Nothing is against me. And I realized that in that moment, really reading into my tarot cards. So that day before, that morning before, I was talking to the 444 boy, and he was telling me, we're talking about tattoos, and I don't have any tattoos, but I want one. Well, I wanted one. I now have one. And I wanted it to be done by somebody who I really admire. He's really spiritual too. He's a really good friend of mine. He's very spiritual too. And I wanted it to be done on an important day, or like a meaningful day. Not just a meaningful day, but by a meaningful person, because my tattoo had a lot of meaning behind it. And I don't see myself getting more. So I really wanted to be something special. Well, that day, after reading all this and realizing how much power I had in the present, I had never been able to get an appointment with this guy. He's my friend and all, but he's been booked forever. And I randomly saw, it was Friday, January 7th. Okay. Which it's funny because I was just realized that like 7 is my life path number and my lucky number. Or was it the 6th? No, I can't remember. I just know, actually it might have been the 6th. It was on like the Three Kings Day. And I wanted to do it on that day because it's also referred to as like the day of Epiphany or something like that. And that word is something that has really intrigued me, because I feel that a lot of my spiritual journey has been epiphanies, where I have been self-aware or open to, I don't know, like being aware to my surroundings, being aware of what happens. But so many times it's like collecting puzzle pieces. Like you can only become aware, and then all of a sudden something happens and things click. Like I'll be sitting there and be like, whoa, that's why I am this way. That's why I said that. That's why I think this. So I think that seeing that day was like the day of Epiphany, and me having found this and feeling like I had an epiphany, realizing like really what it meant to personify those cards, I texted him. I just was like, hey, I know this is so random, but what are the chances you have an opening literally today? And I texted him probably like at 1 p.m. and he texted me back, hey, I actually have one opening literally right now. And I was like, you mean now, like in the present, the thing that I'm supposed to be doing all the time now because my tarot card said so? Okay. Called my brother. I'm so cold. I'm sorry. I'm like shivering. Called my brother, and we were there in an hour. He took 30 minutes to get to my house. We left from here. An hour, I was there. And the tattoo is art. It's on the back of my neck. It's just a small little word. It's art. But on the way there, I don't think my mom knows I have a tattoo yet, if I'm being honest with you. I haven't shown her. I'm like kind of afraid, but not afraid. It's like, I didn't get my tattoo for anybody else, you know? So I haven't even thought about really posting it or anything, just because I really got it for me, which is ironic because I can't freaking see it because it's literally on the back of my neck. But I got the word art because art to me has been, I just realized how important it is, because everything is art, and that includes my life. I keep saying, like, I'll say, like, at the end of my life, I want to have painted the most colorful picture. I want to have used as many brushes as possible, different brush strokes, different techniques. I believe that my body is my canvas, is my art, my mind, art, how we speak, everything is art. It literally is all art. And when you look at something as art, you can also allow it to be itself. I think that when we look at art, how many times have you looked at an art piece and been like, I could have drawn that? I know you have. I know you have. And it's not true, because you would have, first of all. I think about that. I'm like, I would have done it already. But it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And it came from someone's, it almost isn't just who, like, they didn't just make a painting. Like, it comes from a different place. It comes from a place that you don't need thought. You only need your intuition. And that is life. You don't need anything other than your intuition. That's what makes everything art. You are creating sensations. You are creating feelings with what you're doing. Those feelings guide you. That's where your intuition really lies. And that's also what I'm learning now. I keep picking this up, like, I need to get away from me. But it's a lesson that I'm learning now, where my emotions are the most important guiding force for anything. And if you can master your emotions, and by master your emotions, I mean, let them be what they are, and then understand them in that sense, like almost being able to reflect on them and let them teach you and guide you, then I think that is the key to it all. Like that is the key to going wherever you want to go, because now you're self-reliant, you are self-soothing, you are understanding of what you bring to the table, you are self-validating, self-reliant. Being able to tap into your own emotions and understand your own emotions is really such a key to everything. So anyway, I got a little off track there, but I wanted to go back to the tattoo story. So when I get there, first of all, I got there at 222. Not to say anything, but I got there at 222. We finished that tattoo, and I look up. Oh, I wish I had maybe I can just show you on my phone. We'll see. So I look up after, like, when I'm checking out, after it was already just like a day of like, oh crap, I can't believe this even worked out, like blah, 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 blah. The 222 thing. I look up and they have one painting on the wall, and it's this. The same goddess, I think it's a goddess. The same goddess that was on my 4 grounding card is right behind my tattoo artist when I'm checking out. And my jaw drops. He was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah, we were supposed to take it out. Like, we were supposed to take it off like a few weeks ago, and for some reason we didn't. And I was like, it's because I hadn't seen it yet. Like, as crazy as that sounds, I'm like, it's because I hadn't seen it yet. I tell him this whole story about how like crazy it is that that's literally associated with 444. Like, or I'm sorry, that's literally from my tarot card reading, and like the 4 is associated with my spirit guide. And then he tells me that he has the same goddess tattooed on his hand. Is that not insane? And this is what I'm saying. Okay, so when you assign meaning to things, how could I not be passionate about that experience in a whole nother way? I could have just told you the story of like, oh, I just literally hit up a tattoo artist. He like tatted me with the word art, and like it was pretty chill. But but now I have a story that makes me feel like every single movement that I make has intention, purpose, and is exactly as it's supposed to be. And isn't that such a cooler thing to feel than to just feel like you're going through the motions? And that's simply from allowing things to present their meaning to me. I feel like that's a better way to put it. You can't assign meaning to things, but then you can also just become more present and notice things that are already happening. Life is just patterns. We're all just patterns. Everything is just a pattern. And if you can pick up on patterns, then 1, you can intercept patterns and change the outcome. But 2, if you can pick up on patterns, then you'll become more aware, and you'll become more present, because you can't pick up on things if you are not here. You can't pick up on angel numbers if you are not here. When you see it too, like for me, for example, I've assigned several numbers different meanings, and it just comes from seeing patterns of things. Like for me, 8 is associated with the podcast. Almost every time that I'm recording, or anytime we're talking about the podcast, or if there's something going on that could benefit me in the sense of the podcast, there's always like an 8 associated with it. We filmed, I think, the first podcast episode, or it launched. I can't remember if we filmed it or we launched it on the 18th of October. And again, 8 is just so many times now that has come up, that I now associate 8 with career, money, job, that kind of thing. 2s, duality. For me, 2s are duality. The black and the white, yin, yang. One cannot exist without the other. In that moment, if I see 222, for example, I am drawn to, which is funny because when I showed up and there was 222, I remember the devil card, because the devil card has to do with like masculine and feminine energy, and like breaking that balance and that dance. And I was like, fascinating, because I am going to a male tattoo artist to get my tattoo done, but also there's that duality of like, I'm not tatted, I want a tattoo, not in the moment, am in the moment. Like there's always duality. So it just really brings awareness to that. So if you start to give meaning to things in your life, you become passionate about the things that are happening in your life, and you become passionate about staying present. You become passionate about seeing those signs, like there's nothing about you seeing a 1 and it reminding you of I, and it reminding you to put yourself first and stay present with what your needs are in the moment. I don't see how you staying aware to that has anything to do with religion or anything that could harm you in any way. If anything, that's just literally a mindfulness practice is seeing signs, right? What else did I want to chat with you about? So that was pretty crazy. It says art. I don't know if I can show you right now. Maybe, I'm sure I'll post a picture. I'll post a picture on ID for you. Yeah, but I haven't even told my mom yet. I wonder if she knows. She follows me on Instagram. So maybe she's already figured it out. I don't know. But something really cool that we've also been doing is vlogging. So on my personal channel, we've been back in the gym vlogging, which is my most favorite thing ever. But something that kind of does, I don't want to say brings me sadness, but you can learn from me in this regard. I actually have always wanted and always felt like I needed to be vlogging and on YouTube, and especially in the gym. Like I always felt like that was a huge, it sounds funny, right? Like it was my calling. But I've always felt that was such a natural place for me. Like that's where I felt like I needed to be. Like that was all I ever wanted to do. And I feel that I have always found the opportunity to not be able to, if that makes sense. And on top of that, it just has never fully worked out, right? And it's just such a testament to divine timing and like the timing of how everything is just going to happen the way it's supposed to, when it's supposed to. And I feel like this year it's me catching up with that timeline, me finally having the stability to have vlogs come out weekly, finally having the structure in my schedule to be able to post content consistently. I feel like I'm finally at that point, but I should have listened to my gut. I should have listened. I shouldn't say should have. Had I listened to my gut when I was experiencing the sensation of I should be doing this and I need to not stop, I don't know where I'd be today, truthfully, in that realm. But as it is, I have this weird feeling of like this year is just me catching up with a lot of timelines. When it comes to the training aspect, I have always felt driven to be an athlete. I have always felt driven to compete. I have always felt driven to really be able to put myself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow and push myself and learn. And I think this is the year that I can finally do that. And I think that the more I think about it, the more it just feels like the things that I put on pause in order to try and be what I needed to be for other people, I now have the ability to give to myself, and I just will not take that for granted, and I will not be taking that lightly. As you know, I won't say an exaggerated person, but like 110% for me. I have to do 110% because I cannot say that I didn't try. I cannot say that I didn't give it my all. I will not go to sleep doing that. That's something I can't do. I cannot half-ass, because I know that if I half-ass something, that will lead me to be disappointed in myself. And I want to say every single day with everything I do that I gave it my all, so I can go to sleep happy no matter what the result is. And I think that's a huge, like the hack there is that if you can give 110%, then you can rest assured knowing that everything is happening for you, and it is only a redirection. I don't think that in life we experience failure. I think that we only experience redirections. And when you accept that, then life gets so much more exciting and you are so much less afraid to try. Like with me, with my tattoo, I was in the moment. I was like, what's the worst you can say? No. Then we redirect and I schedule for a different day. But let's just go ahead and try in the now, because the most power I'm going to have is in the now. So I could have only been redirected. And once you accept that there is no failure, only redirection, I think that it's kind of like a weight lifted off. I think we walk around all day with this fear of failure, at least for me, for a long time. And still, like I'm saying, that sensation will creep in. I'm still a human being and I'm still working on this just like you are. But I do experience that as well, where I'm like not trying because I'm afraid to fail. But how do I even know that that would have happened? Or who's to say that I'm not supposed to try and it fail or it not work out how I want to? So many times do things have to not work out the way we want to for things to work out the way we need them to. And that's something you have to accept too, is that we don't always get what we want, but we will always get what we need, always. And I can rest assured knowing that. Like I can go to sleep happy knowing today wasn't what I wanted, but I'm sure it's exactly what I needed, even if it was not the best day of my life. Because every single thing that happens to you is shaping you, is creating you into who you are. And if you are centered in knowing the type of person that you are, then you know that you're a good human being, that you are a collection of perspective, and you're just constantly cultivating that and becoming more complex and developing. I almost feel like it's like with cooking, I'm like, you're developing those flavors. You really are that you're like developing the complexity of who you are, and that just makes you more enticing, that makes you more interesting, that makes you somebody people want to talk to, be around, because you also then realize you have so much here that you don't have to be out there. You don't have to be preoccupied with what other people are doing or saying, because you already got so much to work with in yourself and about yourself. So it's like a beautiful thing. I'm just really excited to actually move forward with the vlogs. One thing I did ask Taylor in yesterday's vlog, which he freaking killed me. My legs are, you have no idea. You have no idea. It's actually really annoying because in the vlog, I feel like it looked easier than it was, and I was sincerely, severely injured. Like my thighs felt like bruises in like the second exercise. Like we did 5 sets, 5 different exercises, 1 long set for each. And my legs have never experienced anything like it. But I want to keep doing stuff like that. I just want to do whatever I want to do, you know? Like, if we get one life and the life is so short, like, it just makes me sad to think that I can't get to everything, you know? Like, that's the thing that makes me most sad, is thinking that I just don't see how I can get to it all. But I'm gonna freaking try every single day. That's rest assured. So I also asked him to maybe be my competition coach yesterday. And he said yes, which is pretty exciting too, because again, I just want to be a Renaissance woman. I've always said that, like since 7th grade, learning about the Renaissance, I was like, wait, these Renaissance men that like mathematicians, astrologers, surgeons, a little bit of everything. And then growing up, have always had in the back of my mind that like, I want to be a Renaissance woman. Again, master of none. I'm not worried. I don't see mastery as, I don't want to master one thing, you know? Like, I know that mastery is an illusion. You can't know everything about one thing at all times and then be done, because there's always more to be learned. And so I'm on a constant hunt to learn and to grow and to push my boundaries and see what I'm capable of. So I'm really excited, because getting back into training with Taylor for competition, that's going to really push me outside of my boundary and really push me to grow in areas that I need to grow in or have been neglecting, or it's time to expand on. And I can't wait to share those lessons with you. I don't know, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I feel so happy and so excited, but also at the same time, like I sit here in front of you with like such content. And that makes me even more happy. I don't know, like I sit here knowing that like the podcast episode, the audio did cut out. I did also record for 10 minutes with no audio and had to re-say everything that I was saying, which probably didn't come out the best the second time or whatever. But it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And I don't know, I sit here with such comfort knowing that. And it like fills me up inside. Like it makes me so happy to think that whatever I'm saying right now is exactly what I'm supposed to be saying, because I am saying it. What a wild concept. So I challenge you to give something meaning. Give something meaning today. whether it's a number, whether it's a bird. One of my friends had somebody very close to them pass away and assigned, or not assigned, but she started to see cardinals every time she would think about that person. And so now she sees cardinals and her heart is full because she knows that it's associated with this person. There's nothing except that meaning that you give. Don't think too much into it. Let your life be beautiful. Let your life be full of meaning. That is the meaning of life, is you assigning meaning. You give life meaning. You give it meaning. It means nothing without you. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to give everything meaning. Sometimes I think to myself like, oh my God, that was so many numbers. Why am I seeing so many numbers? And I'm like, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing to see my angel numbers all day. Because I was present for that. I was aware enough of my present moment to be able to see that. And again, if I'm able to be present enough to see that number, I'm present enough to really cultivate my energy and cultivate the force of that now and make shit happen in the present. Because you can't make things happen in the present if you're not aware of the present. So start with just a little bit self-awareness. So start with a little bit of mindfulness. Assign things meaning. Give yourself the ability to feel proud of yourself for seeing signs, for being aware. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that as I'm learning, you're learning, we're learning together. And I think that the most beautiful thing is being able to share that with each other. And I say with each other because I learn from people as much as people learn from me, you know? One does not exist without the other. I can't be a teacher if not a student. You know, and vice versa. And I don't want to be a teacher. I just want to be a student. I want to be a student. This is not a lecture. This is study group. Okay. This is us hosting a study group of personal development. Yeah. I just wish we could just like all hang out together and hug. That's how I feel. Like I just wish we could do a group hug right now. So just know that I'm sending you so much love and light. And actually, I'll end with this. For 2023, after seeing the tarot card reading, after experiencing pretty much the first month of January, after understanding more the power that I have, I want to surprise you. I want you to be surprised and blown away by me all year long. I want you to see me doing things and you're like, what is she doing next? I don't know yet. So I will leave you with this. Everything that you are is correct. You are the right answer. Do not think that getting rid of parts of you, hiding parts of you, lying to yourself about yourself is the answer. The answer is to allow more of yourself to show. The answer is to allow more of you to be accepted by yourself. The answer is never, ever that you need to hide yourself. And I think that so many of us think that we have to manipulate the image of who we are for other people. And if you ever feel that way, that is your sign that the people in your life you might need to take inventory over. Because no one should ever make you feel that way. Somebody who truly, truly loves you needs to truly love you for who you are. So go ahead and show the world who you are. Let them fall in love with you. Or let them make room for the people that will. Because everyone who's supposed to be in your life when you are yourself will find their way to you, vice versa. Okay? That's something that I'm currently working on. And that's the only reason that I'm saying it to you. Because I'm working on allowing myself to be and say without worrying about what other people are going to think and not needing validation from others. And like I said, my personal brand is me and my brand are one. There's no separation. I'm not one thing on the internet. I am all of me on the internet. So it's really hard for me, and I understand the concept of validation on the internet because it's hard for me to keep that separate when I'm posting in the sense of business, but it's also all personal to me. So it's keeping that separate and knowing that whatever I'm doing, the way that I navigate that is that if I'm putting out and doing everything that I am 100% about, like I feel like that is what I'm supposed to be doing and it feels good, then I could care less how many people see it. I could care less what anybody thinks about it. So feel 100% about who, no. Let me go back. Don't, no. Trust yourself 100%. Give yourself 100% trust and step out of your own way. I know it's easier said than done. But if you can do that, you're going to find that things in your life are going to fall out and fall in. Things that no longer serve you will leave and they will exit, and it might not be pretty, but they will. But you're going to make room for things that are going to fulfill you 20 times over. And I know that. And I can come to you knowing that whatever you want, you will get, because just like the temptation that I've been placed, or that has been placed in front of me, I manifested that. It's exactly what I wanted, to a T. And I know that if I'm capable of manifesting, you're capable of manifesting. And I know that if you are, the only way that you're going to do that is if you love yourself enough to know that you deserve the things that you want. So you are right. You are the answer. Listen to yourself. Trust yourself. Okay? Use some tarot cards. Use some numbers. Stay in the moment. Stay in the present. Hone in your power. Use that power to make change in the present moment that can lay the foundation for the future. But stay present. Stay grounded. Okay? Comment your angel numbers and what they mean to you and how you found them, because I'm really curious about that. And follow me on IG at Manuela Velez, on Instagram. And I think it's Manuela Velez period on TikTok. But other than that, my friends, I love you guys. And this was another episode of the Manuela Method. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. See you guys on IG. Bye, friends.